what's in the air in Atlantic Canada, in addition to some bad smoke from those wildfires. But we have the Newfoundland Justice Minister, John Haggie. He was screaming. Do we have a clip of that, Olivia? Let's see what he had to say about those upset with the government's role with the wildfires. And then he dovetailed to COVID. Oh boy, I think he blew his point with that. Let's check it out.
And for those assholes who were on the phone yesterday talking crap to our staff, stop it. You're the same people who trolled us during COVID. And it was unacceptable then, and it's unacceptable now.
No, Minister Higgy. By the way, how much screech did you have before you got on behind the mic there? But no, it was not unacceptable then, nor unacceptable now. You know, Drea, you mentioned what's happening in Nova Scotia. I think of that song, "If you go into the woods today, you're in for a big surprise." Yeah, 28,000 in fines. And I thought in New Brunswick, it was even worse. The premier there said, the reason why we're banning you is that, say you break your leg, which of course happens so frequently when people go for a hike in the woods. All the emergency responders, all the first responders, they're completely occupied with the wildfires. And then, as if we're not listening, she says, now, hey, folks, if you see your neighbor going into the woods, dial this 1-800 number, and we'll have cops on them so fast it'll. Well, wait a minute! I thought they were all busy fighting the fires. I mean, like, how are they available for snitch line duty? Your thoughts, Drea?
This takes us right back to 2020 when you were told, don't go see your 80-year-old grandmother because you're going to hurt the healthcare system. If you celebrate a birthday party, if you go to church, all of those types of things, you were told you're a bad person because you are going to overburden the hospitals. And we know that that wasn't true. It was overdoses, if anything, that were impacting the hospital. So we're seeing this again, and you're right, he totally blows his cover. It is the same people. I think there's more of us now because we don't want the same thing that's happening. We all know that these fires are serious, that they're a threat, but we also know that things like fishing and hiking are not what's causing the fires. And again, if you can let a whole play take place and we see that something else is going on here. I shared a picture. This is how much we are going right back to COVID. It's just a picture of me in British Columbia where there is no ban, taking a picture of myself in the woods. If you don't have it, you don't have to put it up. But anyways, people got so mad. I just said, this is me enjoying Crown Land woods in BC. I wrote in BC. And there's people, most people were happy about it, but there are people calling me selfish. And it takes me right back to 2020. I'm selfish in British Columbia for sitting in the forest for what's happening over there. So they're totally drinking the Kool-Aid so fast. And I said, I'm just as selfish as I was when I wouldn't wear a mask because I knew, I wasn't sick and it wasn't stopping anything. So here we are again.
It's unbelievable. I think, Drea, the loony left seeing that photo right now are chanting in unison, lock her up, lock her up.
That's crazy.
Rod, what I think, if you're playing the COVID card in 2025, given that what we've learned and continue to learn about how this was mismanaged, the fraud, the idea, 6 feet social distancing, we just made that up. Masking, we just thought it would look good. We know it has no effect. And yet the Justice Minister is trotting out COVID as a template of how government got it right, and how dare you echo how we got it wrong then and we're getting it wrong now. What do you make of it?
Well, of course, people in the position that he's in, they continue to just try to gaslight people, right? Like, I'm just going to, run over you with my authority and you're going to comply. And if you think about it in bigger terms, it's there are a lot of people that just want to comply. And it's just a lot easier. They don't want to buck authority. Like, that still works on a lot of people. But I will say, and it's taken probably 30 years to beat Canadians down to the point where the people that are susceptible to this kind of messaging and this kind of this psychological pressure, it's taken them this long to get to a point where they will accept this stuff, where you can't hike in the woods because danger, right? And also further to what, how this kind of made its way over to COVID. COVID woke a lot of people up. We all went through it, right? We're looking around the whole time. I think we're all sort of on the same page here during COVID. And we're all kind of looking around each other to see what we're like. How is this guy going to react? How about them? A lot of people woke up. A lot of people are pushing back. So that's the good news. But COVID also broke a lot of people, broke them permanently. And I think in some areas of the country, there's almost a bit of a trend there. It's just interesting that people are complying with this. I mean, there is another answer. The answer is that you make people accountable for their own actions and their impact on society. For example, somebody goes into the woods and intentionally starts a fire, put them in jail for 10 years. Put out the fire, put them in jail for 10 years. And you know what? All of a sudden, people won't start fires anymore. If they do it accidentally, they report it, they try to fight it themselves, all the rest of that stuff, right? So I don't know. It's just this really interesting thing. No one is accountable for their actions. It's society as a whole. But I'd like to think, again, to be the optimist, I'd like to think that people are starting to see through this stuff. They're seeing through it on, look at the backlash from it, right?
Yeah.
And the Sean Floyd thing, and even firearms, like all these different topics. People are starting to go, you know what? I can't trust a thing coming out of any of these people's mouths. So there just has to be more of us out there. And I would like to think that number's growing. And eventually, these institutions might turn themselves right, because I don't know what other answer there is.
And you know what, Rod, and I think this is right in your wheelhouse, the vast majority of people going into the woods, and yeah, I agree with campfire bans, not bringing in motorized vehicles. I agree with that. But if you're just hiking, aren't you removing the vast majority of forest users who are ethical, who are not breaking the law? They'll be the eyes and the ears for the fringe arsonists that are trying to cause shenanigans, because it's just like illegal gun owners, isn't it, Rod? You see, yeah, they don't have a license for that restricted weapon, but guess what? They're criminals. It's in their DNA to break the law. An arsonist looking at TV going, oh, well, what am I going to do, boss? They've got a forest ban. I can't go into the woods and set a fire. Isn't that the fallacy of this ban writ large?
Well, it is. And there's a little phenomenon here, and I kind of see it all the time, right? It's overcorrection. It seems like human beings are so prone to overcorrection. It's like, well, we have a forest fire. It's like, nobody can move. Nobody can go in the forest. No, nothing. Yeah. And to be fair, it also appears on the other side, where you have people that are reasonable people. Now they're like, okay, well, there should be no laws whatsoever. So I think it's, if we ever want to get out of the situation that I would say a certain demographic of Canadians have put us in, we just got to remain reasonable, and we have to say, just like you did just now, right? It's like, yeah, I get it. Sometimes sparks come out of ATVs and they start fires. Shooting in the bush when it's the dry season, yeah, sometimes that stuff starts fires. Exactly. So you know what? Maybe calm down on that kind of stuff, and invite people to be part of the solution, instead of like, okay, well, I'm going to give you a $25,000 fine, but if you shoot a Toronto City police officer in cold blood, you only got to come up with $500 and you're out. Like, just make it make sense, man. That's my message to everybody in Canada. Make it make sense.
Well, common sense isn't that common anymore, Rod. Harrison, I want to talk about Rod's original point, and I think he nailed it, and that is about how many people, 4 years after COVID got into high gear, are still all about compliance. And when I see in the summer of 2025, somebody who is by themselves in a vehicle wearing a mask, I liken it to if you see a Sikh gentleman with a turban, if you see a Muslim lady with a hijab, if you see a Christian with a cross, those people are saying, I'm on Team Sikhism, Team Islam, Team Christianity. It's an outward sign of where they stand. I would say that years after those masking mandates had their extinction event, you're still wearing a mask. this is a political statement now. This is people saying, I believe in big government. I believe in big lockdowns. I believe in being told what to do. And I guess the only question is, Harrison, what do you reckon the percentage of Canadians are that, are still such sheep when it comes to this kind of mandate?
I would say that it's probably smaller than we think. I think you and I, we live in Toronto, so there's going to be a higher percentage of them who live in this area. But that being said, I think that the people who are of that political ideology, because it really is its own political ideology now, I think that has come about with some mental. I'm sorry to say it, but I think it's a mental illness, and I feel really bad for people who I think it's this fear of germs, of getting sick, and it has come about because of what was said to them in the media during COVID. And I genuinely feel bad for them, and I try my best not to judge people who are, wearing gloves or wearing masks, double masking in a car, that sort of thing. And it's not meant to be, I'm not trying to be rude here. I'm just trying to be as honest as I can be. With the wildfires and the forest bans, I don't want to hear from any other person again that these forest fires are the cause of climate change, because these rules, in my opinion, dispel that narrative entirely. Yep. The Nova Scotia government data proves that arson is the main reason for forest fires in the province. I'm sure that Nova Scotia is not an outlier when it comes to forest fires in the Maritimes, that arson is the leading cause for these fires. Now, I also think that these rules have come about, because it is a simple and easy policy prescription, and it's easy for these people in charge, for bureaucrats, premiers, and ministers. Instead of actually doing the hard work, they can just say, well, no one's going to go into the forest. There, that's a rule, and that's going to make it easy for us. The second is that we're living in a low-trust society now. We never used to have these issues. We didn't have people in a large enough quantity going around and lighting the forests on fire in a drought season. But we do now. And why do we have that? Well, I think that's what we should be looking into. This is what I think is the result of living in a low trust society where the government does not trust the citizenry to behave properly, which is wrong. But there might be something to that. And also, it's just quick and easy for these politicians to make a blanket ban and not actually have to do any hard work.